Alright, this is not by viewer request, but I always wanted to do this video on why pro-self is better than divestment, and I wish I've been preaching this for years, years in my personal spaces, but I wish it became common and popular, but I guess it's not popular yet. But I think it's time people become pro-self and stop being pro-everything else or everything that would look good in the view of other people, because then at the end of the day you go through all this only to find out that you still have to choose yourself. So here's my pro self journey and why I do not call it divestment. I hate that word. You guys ruined it. You ruined the word divestment. Just destroy that. Just as you can clearly see, if you've been on this channel a lot, your girl rants and complains about certain words, and divestment is that word. I'll put it up there with the word moist. Just gives me the heebie-jeebies. It's why you had to ruin it for everyone. So what brought me on my pro self journey, going back to the recent video I did, was being around predominantly black spaces and predominantly non-black spaces and finding out that it's like both sides are the same. Both sides are the same. What the hell I look like leaving another side to get validation from another side who is just as bad as the other. Now, we could talk about stats and stuff. I'm not talking about stats. I'm talking about dealing with the individual. Like, I feel like a lot of people like to bring up stats and everything. We bring up all these stats. And here's a stat and more stats and more stats to follow. Woo woo. But, the real deal are the people who are around you. Those are the ones who affect you more. Half of the time when these stats come out, and this comes from someone who used to do field research, they're taking a section of a population, and then giving it numbers, and then claiming it's for the entire population when all that information. Well, some of these stats are based on the census, but like you gotta keep in mind, some people don't even sign that as well. And I'm saying this as someone who did work for the census prior to as an enumerator. A lot of people embellish that shit and they don't do it. Okay? A lot of them do not. And actually, majority of the information you put on the census doesn't even have to be put in. You don't even have to state your race on these things in your household. You just got to give your name and the number of people in your household. That's about it. You don't have to say whether you're black or not. A lot of people don't know that. But here's the info. Booyah. So, a lot of these, like, being around both spaces, I choose to be pro self because I realize no one is better. And like, you could bring as many stats as you can, but like, the only life that you have is the one in front of you. I could talk about stats and about starvation in Kenya all day. All day, starvation in America. But like, if it's not, I hate to say this, but like, if it's not personally affecting me, it really has no effect unless I put energy towards it. So what drove me to be pro self is realizing that as soon as I got off the internet, I still have to deal with me. I have to deal with me. I have to deal with my immediate circle. And that was my real reality. That was my only reality. It's every time I got on the internet, it was like being in an alternative reality where I thought I could be mad and take all this negative energy and rant with other people. But when you turn off your screen, man, it's your life. It's your life. When you leave what it is on that glass in front of you, it's your life you have to face. And the reason why I'm so pro self instead of divestment, because when you say stuff like divestment, it's usually in comparison of how you want other people to affect you as a person, when the only control you have is over yourself. So step one, I became pro-self because I realized I was living in an alternative reality where I thought I didn't have much control. Like, I would leave these spaces depressed, distraught, destroyed. Like, I'm probably not the only one, but like, show of hands to anybody who left these spaces feeling like crap. Like, how many times we gotta hear statistics? Did it ever make us feel happy? No. And like, what can I do about stuff that, really think about, like, what can we do about stuff that already happened? Single mothers, they've been single mothers. You understand? This is not something you could prevent in the future. It already happened. All these stats could tell you. It's stuff that happened already. It's the results of people's action. It is not your future. And to absorb that as if it is fact, even though it's fact, it is still fact of the past. And the present is up to you. But like, listening to that stuff in those spaces really made me think, like, I have no power. And then it hit me. If I want to stop the single mother rate and dating unviable partners, the only person I could stop is me. Honestly, like, the only person you could stop is you. You want less single mothers? Me choosing to not have, not be intimate, or be intimate and condomless, not to be intimate and condomless with men who I cannot trust to be viable partners for children, skews the same stats. And I think if more people take up that mentality, your little drop assists in the ocean. It assists in the wave. Every little drop matters. Every little molecule, every little atom that's required to make the H2O, to create the ocean, to create the bodies of water that we complain about. Your actions affect that too. And being pro-self is realizing that if I do my part, I could influence others. Others will see me do that, and you could influence others to do it. Because I noticed, from one thing I noticed, like, growing up and stuff, a lot of single mothers were influenced by seeing single mothers around them. They were surrounded by single mothers, came from a single mother, and I'm just using single mother as an example. It's not a bad thing. I know of plenty of single mothers who are there for their kids and plenty who aren't. It's not a bad thing. It's just a state of being. You were just a single mom. There's no shame. It is what it is. I'm saying this because I notice, like, the patterns come from when you think that's all you're surrounded by. Like, people who are in abusive relationships, they didn't know they had the option to not be in those toxic relationships because all they were surrounded was with that. Now, imagine if they met one person who said, I ain't got to do this, and wipe off their hands. You know, one person being pro-self and saying, you know what, I'm going to be selfish for me because this affects my future. Just seeing one person do that, dust their hands off and say, I ain't got to do this shit, and walk off. Imagine how many people would realize that they too don't have to do that. So, another reason why I'm pro-self is because, like, hate to quote Gandhi, but every activist we know is a flawed man or woman at this point, so I don't care. But you are the change you want to see in the world, and your actions matter. And to be pro-self, like, if you are afraid to do it on your own, think about how doing a decision that could benefit you tomorrow could influence the people around you to be better. You know, pro-self, I'm going to add a third point as well. Pro-self also forces you to be accountable, because then you cannot depend your future on other people. Now, with divestment and stuff like that, it's always, okay, I do this for a man. I do this for a person. I do this to be accepted. I do this to be loved. And it's never, I do this because I want to. I do this because this will benefit me in the future. I do this for my own. No, for other people. And nothing holds you more accountable than when you could sit down with yourself at the end of the day and say, you know what, I did that. And that was not my best work, but I'll do it a lot better tomorrow. And my pro self journey started with this third point as well, where I had to be real with myself and blame myself for some of the things that I did allow, the ways I've allowed people to think I was deserving of their abuse, to allow them to think they were better than me. I take accountability. And because I'm pro self, I'm selfish enough to say, I don't have to be your punching bag. Because you're pro self, you're selfish enough to say, I gotta take care of me. Okay? I gotta take care of me. And my responsibility to take care of you. You gotta take care of yourself. So my third point, like I said, just being accountable for yourself. You could only be accountable for yourself. Have you ever tried raising a kid? Kids are hard to be accountable for, especially when they don't know better. Very hard to be accountable for them and yourself as you navigate. It's already hard, you know, to be accountable for other people. Do that when you have your kids and they don't know better and they're like 5 and still like screwing up stuff. As for now, like when you could handle yourself, if you have kids outer than that, if you don't even have kids yet, or even if you don't want kids, or even just you being by yourself, you know, you should always hold yourself accountable and be pro self on how to be a better person for tomorrow, not for anyone else, but for you. Like, you want to be happy with what you've done when you close your eyes at night without anyone having to see. Like, you ain't even got posted to social media. I know social media is the wave these days. Like, if you could be proud of yourself without the world seeing, that's pro self. Um, Also, with 4, like, I don't see any, point number 4, I don't see any other way to be, because at the end of the day, from what I've seen with the people older than me, I surround myself with a lot of older people. I always love the wisdom from those who, now, I know there's like a stigma saying like the old is competing with the young, but sometimes they're not. Sometimes they know better than you and they warn you in advance, but like a lot of us young people don't want to hear it. You know, you don't want to hear the boyfriend you think gonna last forever may break up with you last year. You don't want to hear about that, you know? Or like, love is not everything. You don't want to hear that, but I surround myself with women older than me, and they have given stellar advice. And what I have realized is that the longer you live on this planet, you have no choice but to go pro self if you want to guarantee your survival. Every person I know, every older person, like past the age 40, 50, 60, their advice is always choose yourself first. Always ask the older woman in your family. If you ain't the older woman know this. But like, even ask the older woman in your family, they will tell you, like, it always goes back to choosing yourself at the end of the day, because you realize you're the only consistent, you're the common denominator in all the equations you create. You could go through many numbers, but the denominator stays the same for a reason. It's just, and stays the same for a reason, and it's you, because you're the only constant in your life. From the day you were born until the day you die. So why not be pro you? You could only promise yourself when you wake up. That's the only thing you're promised with. Every day you wake up, you are promised with being you. Okay? You could wake up to your spouse, and your spouse, you could stay with them 20 years, and year 21 they're like, I ain't love you no more. And they could get up and leave by free will, but you def wake up with you every day, so why not? You have, life will make you learn the easy way or the hard way. I would say the younger we are, the better, because we could learn the easier way. And there's always a quote that I've known, and But it was brought back to me by TikToker Alexander Ayers, giving her a shout out, that whether you learn the easy way or hard way, you will learn. So like, if you can learn the easy way to choose yourself, just do it. You know, the only people who will be offended are people who wanted to use you in the first place, and people who want to use you are pro-self anyways. So why the shame? Why focus on your development? Why focus your development on things that are outside yourself and could change your mind? The people who call you pretty today could call you ugly tomorrow. The people who claim they're attracted to you and like you today could change their mind tomorrow. You want something tangible and consistent, and the only consistency is you. The common denominator is you. This is why I'm pro-self, and this is why I wish, like, it was more popular. Every time a new term is coined, it's always in relation to other people. Why not just focus on yourself? So yeah, that's just my thoughts and everything. Let me know what you guys think. And have a great day and stay rambling.